We are live. What's up, everybody in Cover Band Central land? It's Steve Witchell, founder of Cover Band Central, like it says on the screen. That's my name. It is Thursday, January 7th, 2021. We are 1 week into the new year, and it's fantastic so far. How you guys doing? We are live on the Facebook page, in the Facebook Cover Band Central group, and also on YouTube, on the Cover Band Central channel on YouTube. Trying to do these interviews every week here, and we got a really good one this week. Most of these interviews I've done with people that I don't know. So I reached out to a friend of mine that I do know. Obviously, he's a friend, so I know him, and somebody I've worked with before because of his body of work that he's accomplished, and because I know how talented this guy is, and I figured you guys would want to meet him and ask him some questions, maybe, and definitely learn a thing or two about this man, because he's been all around the place, and one of the best that I've worked with in my life. And so, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kyle Thomas. There he is. What's up, buddy? Oh, you're frozen on my end. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Oh, Steve.
There he is. Okay.
Oh, good.
We got a little bit of a choppiness going on, but we'll try to plow through this. So I just want to tell the audience. Yeah, I want to tell the audience our history a little bit. I moved to New Orleans 10 and a half years ago now, and worked with a couple different bands and a lot of different musicians. And one of the musicians, the first singers, one of them that I worked with was you, working at a club called Opera House on Bourbon Street. And I think you were just kind of subbing every once in a while. And then some other bands every once in a while would work with you. And then in 2015, do you believe it was this long ago? It was 6 years ago, dude, that I had an opportunity to put together a band. And for my singer that I wanted to choose, my first call was Kyle Thomas, and you gladly accepted, and you were the front man for that band, and we did that for quite a while. And the band was called Saint Rock. So that was our history, a cover band, obviously, but Kyle has played with numerous original bands as well. So yeah, can you believe it was 6 years ago that we did that?
That's pretty incredible. It's hard for me to believe that time that I started on Bourbon Street was about 10 years ago. Now, of course, I've been off of Bourbon Street for a couple of years now, but right. Yeah, it was the hardest work that I've ever done as a singer, and the longest hours, the longest show has to be the Bourbon Street show. And you're right. Yeah, it was the old Opera House, which is no longer in existence.
No longer.
On the corner of Bourbon and Toulouse. And I think we did work on and off a little bit on occasion, like you said. And then when you graciously invited me to join up with you guys in Saint Rock, y'all definitely saved my butt at the time, because my wife was still in medical school, and we were fighting through with a house full of kids. I was working 7 days a week. It was a tough time. I was fortunate enough to invited me, because not only did we make a lot of money, we had a whole lot of fun.
We sure did.
On St. Peter and Bourbon at Crazy Corner.
Crazy Corner, yes. Dante Steele says greetings from Cleveland, Ohio. So
hey, Dante, how are you?
Dante watching. Anybody wants to ask Kyle any questions, please let StreamYard show your name. We're doing this on StreamYard, and I can put you up on the screen, and we can ask Kyle questions. So we'll get to the other cover band stuff you're doing and talk about a little bit about Saint Rock later, but I want to get into your original projects that you've done. And I'll confess that I'm not all that familiar with all the music, and it's really not what I would normally listen to. I love it, I respect it, but it's not, my thing. It's heavy. Like, you play heavy music, and you have your Exhorder and Trouble and Heaviest Texas, which are part of all those bands right now. which of those three bands do you feel is like still the most active right now? In any way, as you can be active now during COVID. All right, you're freezing up a little bit.
Or what?
Which of those original bands is still active? Like,
Are you asking which is like the primary one?
yeah, yeah. You're freezing up.
Well, of all of them, the first one was Exhorder. I was 16. Yeah, we're gonna fight through this, I'm afraid. How about you? You good now?
Yeah, it's okay.
You hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, we started Exhorder in 1986. I was 16 years old, and ended up signing a record deal. And first one was 9, and eventually that deal kind of fell through. But Roadrunner Records, what's called Road Racer in the States, due to trademark issues, but they scooped up our contract, and we released Slaughter in the Vatican in 1990. To get put together in 1987. That's when we first started writing. Well, actually, songs were being written in 85.
Oh no. Looks like we lost Kyle.
Songs.
Okay,
So,
there we go.
Exhorder is primarily what I'm known for worldwide, I would say.
Right.
We just did another album after 27 years, called Mourn the Southern Skies. It charted well worldwide, as well as rock and metal can chart these days. But we've done respectably with this. The interest is still very high. I've got festivals from 2020 that are rebooked for 2021 overseas in the States. We're working on a European headline tour for the fall next year. So we're still swinging. Trouble's going back to Europe this late summer. That was shows that were supposed to happen this past year. Sweden Rock Festival, Dublin, Ireland, Belfast. That's a lot of places that I either haven't been to or have been to maybe once. So have these outlets. Trouble, I wasn't an original member of. Trouble was actually a band I grew up listening to in the 80s. They had three albums out on Metal Blade, and then they did a deal with Deaf American and did 2 albums with Rick Rubin. So they're probably one of the Rick Rubin bands that didn't explode, But the fans of Trouble hail some of the best. I had my own band called Floodgate where I played guitar and sang. That was on Roadrunner. I'm a Thunder Pussy. It did pretty well. We had a video on MTV at the time. So done a lot of things. And I'm probably the poorest famous person that you'll ever meet.
I don't know about that, Kyle. Chris Terride said, absolute legend. Happy New Year.
Oh, Chris Terride, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Chris, how are you, man? I've known Chris for a long, long time.
Okay. So, but you guys are pretty damn popular overseas, right? That's why you go and tour, over in Europe and stuff like
Exhorder. We're real popular in Europe.
Yeah, in Europe. And it's been that way for a long time, right?
Yeah. If you put every Exhorder fan worldwide into one venue, you might have like a 1 million person concert, but they're spread out around the world. So we've got a really reliable fan base. Germany, we actually got up to number 65, I think, on the German charts, and that's not like here with Billboard. metal, up and coming, or unless you're like Slipknot or Lamb of God, you're just not cracking the Billboard 200,
Right.
the Hot 100 or the Heat Seekers chart, which is current albums. Because I mean, look, Dark Side of the Moon was on the Billboard 200 for how many years? Like 10, 15 years.
I think it still is on it.
It doesn't surprise me. But to measure, like, it just released this year, they measured by the Hot 100. We did okay here in the States. I think we I forget. I should know this off the top of my head, but we were in I think the upper half of the Hot 100 here, and Switzerland, same thing. The top 60. I think the top 10 in the rock charts in the UK. So the album was very highly anticipated. 7 years. I'm grateful that people even gave a damn, because usually the deal is the more you the more you stay away, you just kind of fade away into obscurity, and a contingency of people will want to see the show or hear the. Every time this band has ever broken up, which is many times, and then reformed, Exhorder always seems to get bigger as it goes. And we just did a full U.S. tour with Overkill in the beginning of 2020. Fortunately for us, we only got to the last two shows before they canceled due to COVID. So I felt bad for bands that I knew that were getting ready on tour and just had to cancel. But we were able to do the majority of the tour. And a lot of people have told me, I've seen, like the last big show that I've seen. And we have, I mean, it was a Live Nation, theater and club tour, but I think we are able to say that we played the biggest U.S. metal tour last year. So
there you go.
Overkill was great. They were very fun. We had a great time on that tour.
That's cool. Yeah. I think with fans, like, if you're a fan of a band, even if they kind of go away for a long time, you're still gonna be a fan. And as a music fan, and you would probably agree with this, as a music fan, when you see something new happening with somebody you love, then you get excited about it, and then you're going to start telling other people about it. So maybe that kind of contributed to even though you guys were away for so long, to fans coming out and being excited and buying the record and all that. Because I remember when I was working.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that, like, for Exhorder, there's a popular opinion that we pioneered the genre that we play. Now, granted, there were bands ahead of us playing thrash, like Exodus, Metallica, obviously, and we kind of infused that with the punk elements we were listening to, but more than the New Orleans funk, the traditional New Orleans funk, the Meters, Dr. John, all the stuff that we grew up listening to into our songwriting. And I think that's what people feel is the genre. And they call it groove metal, I don't know, power groove. They call it all kind of things, but some people say we invented it. Some people say we were one of the pioneers of it. I don't know. We weren't trying to invent anything. We just wanted to play songs we wanted to hear.
Right. And you guys came up around the same time as Pantera, right? And those guys, or Phil anyway, right?
Yeah. They were actually together for maybe a year and a half before we started putting this thing together. But they were still more like I don't want to say glam, because I guess at the time a lot of metal bands did. I mean, I wore spandex when I was in my first few bands. We all did,
yeah.
I think. But Phil joined that band. He brought an element from New Orleans. really instrumental in sharing our demos with whoever was hanging out with him in the Dallas-Fort Worth area when he first started playing with Pantera. So the first time we played a show there, it was free. Always good at waving that Exhorder flag. And I think it's fair to say that we had an influence on the stylistic change that they did between the Night Days, Metal Magic, to, you know, into power metal and then Cowboys from Hell, for sure. We weren't the only band involved, and Lord knows they worked hard, man. Those were road dogs, man. And I was friends with Daryl also, and I know Rex well. We're friends. I've spoken with him once or twice in the last couple of years through or whatever. But you know, what ended up happening with Daryl and eventually with his brother, I think. But yeah, I respect that band a lot. They see that platinum on the wall back there?
I do.
I wish it was mine, but Phil presented that to me. When they sold, they driven, and he presented me with that, I guess, as a nod to our friendship and, you know, how the music that I had written. So yeah, we talk a little bit. Phil and I still do, mostly through email thread about. It's fun stuff always.
Right on. I apologize to the audience here that the stream here is super choppy. So you're cutting in and out, and your video is freezing. So it's just, there's a Wi-Fi thing. It happens, but we'll
it's probably my fault.
We'll try to plow through a couple more things, and then we're going to get to, because you're giving vocal lessons, so we're going to offer you guys a special code that you can use to get vocal lessons and get some percentage off for at least one lesson. But we'll talk about that then. But I want to talk about the difference between playing in bands like that and singing like that, as opposed to being in a cover band and singing like Journey and you know, Bryan Adams or whatever, which is what we had to do on Bourbon Street. Like, as you're, you know, a lot of people that aren't familiar with the kind of music that you do, the original music, are going to hear that sort of thing and those kind of vocals and think, well, that's just screaming, and that's just, you know, there's no skill involved in there. But, you know, I know you first as a singer on Bourbon Street singing covers, and I think you're an extremely skilled singer. So talk about the difference between those two styles of singing, and which is different, or which is more difficult, and is it really is there a big different approach to it? The way you think about it.
There's two opinions on extreme vocal skill, and one of them is it's just screaming. And sometimes it is. There are people who don't know any better and they just scream. But to be able to add that grit and growl to your voice and remain in key and growl in harmony, it's not an easy thing to do. It's actually a hard thing for me to teach. I had a girl when I was teaching School of Rock, a teenage girl that was into black metal, and she wanted me to teach her how to sing like that. And she was doing fine on her own. I had to guide her, but I was like, never taught anyone how to sing extreme vocals before. So it was very different. The show on Bourbon Street, if you're not doing your fundamentals correctly and you're not taking care of your body, you're not going to last for long. It's the hardest show I've ever had to do because the night's long and you don't get a lot of breaks. So I think what I gained the most out of singing on Bourbon Street was it definitely helped with my endurance and stamina, and I also sang a lot of songs that I had never attempted before. the Journey stuff, the AC/DC stuff, the very high register, high range stuff that, I mean, my experience singing in the chorus in high school and at University of New Orleans definitely helped me with excelling at it. But yeah, that like if you're a singer and you don't know the fundamentals and technique, and you start singing extreme music or even just regular, you don't know these things, it's going to be a tough road for you to figure out how to take care of your voice without blowing it out, or you just may never know and you may never learn.
Right. And which did you, I mean, obviously you learned how to sing early, probably first, right? Before you learned how to do the extreme stuff. Is that correct?
No, actually,
Okay.
I started on trumpet as a kid, and then I moved to bass, and I was all about, being a young Steve Harris type. That was my thing. I wanted to be the world's baddest bass player.
Well, who didn't?
And I made the mistake of of singing at a band rehearsal, and then people started like offers to play in their band as a singer and not as a bass player. So I found it by accident. I started jamming with the Exhorder guys summer of '86 when I was a young 16. So when I joined the chorus the next school year, I figured I did it. It was part of the curriculum. It was a daily class, and you had to audition for it. I was like, let me just do this to try and get a little better at singing this style. And it turned out that I was actual choral singer, and it definitely helped with my extreme vocal singing. I learned to incorporate really singing in key with the grit and growl that it takes to do with extreme vocals. You can hear it if you listen to, there's genres out there where it's kind of monotone. It's not really a lot of notes. It's just
right
with a lot of growling and syllables and that sort of thing. But a lot of the extreme singers, there's that I always use. I'm overusing the word grit, but it's the greatest adjective that I can use to describe a gravelly, harsh singing. I look at it, doesn't not even just regular heavy metal. Blackie Lawless from Wasp, he has a very gritty, growly voice, and he's one of my first vocal influences. In fact, singing along to "I Want to Be Somebody" was the first time I realized, wow, I can sing. And you listen to that first Wasp album, and I say that because I don't really listen to the ones after that, but Blackie's a great singer. He's a very unappreciated singer in the grand scheme of things.
I agree. I loved that first Wasp album. I saw them live on that tour too, and I thought he was a great singer too. He just went for the theatrics and stuff for Wasp, which was kind of sold the band, but he was a great singer and a great songwriter too. I love that first record. So you talk about Steve Harris. On Bourbon Street, typically we had to play songs to please the masses. So we would play the popular songs over the last few decades. But we had some balls a little bit at Crazy Corner, and we wouldn't usually do it until the end of the night. But we would one of my favorite, because one of my bass influences growing up was Steve Harris, obviously. So we would pull out the Trooper at the end of the night quite often, and you would nail it, and the band would always do pretty well with it because we had Chris and Keith both playing the guitar parts and nailing them. So that's a fun memory for me from that band, is being able to play the Trooper on Bourbon Street, because I don't think anybody else did. Right?
No, and I remember having fun with that. And of course, we always save that for end of the night, because that's a good way to clear out a bar when it's prime hours and people are looking for party music.
Right.
So there were usually 2 or 3 dudes our age going, but it was fun. I think we did that a handful of times with I think we did Take Hold of the Flame one night. That was
We did.
fun.
I want to. Yeah, I want to
By
show this.
Queensryche.
Yeah, I want to show this thing to you and to the audience here, because this just came up in my memories. We just did Take Hold of the Flame and Master of Puppets on Bourbon Street. This is what you posted. I'm guessing that hasn't happened a lot. And that was 4 years ago. And my post was Uber ride to the quarter, 11:57, beer and a shot, $8. Kyle Thomas singing "Take Hold of the Flame," priceless.
I'll tell you, man, that's not an easy song to sing.
Yeah.
But Queensryche was literally the fan club I ever joined as a kid was Queensryche's fan club, and it was when the EP came out, so it was right at the beginning. And I had friends of mine laughing at me. That band somebody's, you know. I'm like, okay. And by the time they were, you know, headlining arenas and stuff, these guys back to me going, "You were right. And I'm like, man, I don't even listen to them anymore. Not that I think they sucked or anything. I just gravitated to other things. But yeah, what a singer Jeff Tate was in his prime.
Yeah. And we did that, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, without rehearsing those songs. We just started playing them. I think we did that with the Heading Out to the Highway once or twice too, Judas Priest. We just started playing it, and it wasn't the end.
Yeah, the songs that we all grew up to.
Right, and it wasn't the end of the night. It was like at a time when there was hardly anybody in the club, and we were just like, you know, screw it, we're just gonna play whatever we want. We did that once.
But for us,
right. All right, so let's get to the lessons thing. Talk about how you do this. Obviously, you're doing it virtually, but if somebody were to be interested in learning to sing from you, how would it? What would it be like? Like, say, the first lesson. How would you approach it?
The first thing that I do is just try to pick the brain of the person that is coming to me. Level for starters, what is your intention, and what is your goal? And then what I always do is I have an exercise that I email to the listener, to the end user, and you know, also some like bullet point notes. Is always out of the gates the first thing. So the first lesson, you get an MP3 that should get to. It's just a major scale exercise that we learned when I was in chorus, and the bullet points are yours, and it's just part of the lessons discussing how to physically sing, how to do these things. Breathing technique, these things that these things were beaten into my brain every day for 2 years when I was in high school. I went to class. It was part of my grade. It wasn't extracurricular, and it's the single most important. I had 5 years of private trumpet lessons. That was great in my formative years, but I don't even play anymore. I took deciding to go sing. I never wanted to be a singer. I had no desire. A choice to go sing in a choral environment changed everything, and I don't know that I'd be where I am. So most of what I teach is what I learned in the high school days, for sure.
Okay. That's great. Yeah, and again, I stand by Kyle as a talent, and like he said, working on Bourbon Street is one of the hardest things to do, because we would do 5, 6, 7 sets in a night, 45-minute sets each, and do it several nights in a row. So that was always the hardest on singers, because I mean, you're singing a lot of songs, and it takes a toll on your body. But you were incredibly consistent with being able to come in and nail everything, and very easy to work with, by the way. I was probably a pain in the ass, but yeah. I'm a pain in the ass.
I think all of us were at times. Every time I ever walked away, it's because I fun. Therefore, it's no fun for anyone around me, and it's not fair to the other band members, the staff who's trying to sell, the manager who's trying to run the night. So anytime I've ever walked away, it's because I looked around and went, "I'm the problem. I have to go."
Right.
So if you're having fun on Bourbon Street, it is torture. It's a long night. Dealing with or needy, of course, because they're out having a good time and you're their source of entertainment. You have to mentally be prepared for it. It's, even just a band that plays in, suburban bar rooms, that sort of thing. It's different. And you've done both,
Yeah.
Not for the timid.
Not at all. All right, I'm gonna cut this because it's just we're not hearing everything you're saying because it's just chopping in and out. But I want to make sure I show everybody the way to get in touch with you. Go to exhorderkyle.com and you can find all your stuff, and that's where you can sign up for lessons. And if you go now, what are you going to offer people here with this code?
We've got a code, the acronym for Cover Band Central. It's just CC.
CBC. Okay.
And if you go to my website, there's a 30-minute shop section, and it's $25 for a half an hour. But if you use the code, you get $5 off, and it's $20. It's for 30 minutes of real, genuine choral training.
There you go. All right. So go to exhorderkyle.com, sign up for those lessons, coupon code CBC. You get some money off there, and you get to work with one of the most professional singers that I've ever worked with. And you will definitely learn something. Hang around, Kyle, but I'm going to close this up. Thank you guys for joining. Sorry about the choppy video, everybody,
Sure.
but there's stuff in here for you to check out. CoverBandCentral.com. Go sign up for you.
Just blame it on me. It's got to be my fault.
We'll have another interview next week, guys. Everybody be safe, be good. Talk to you soon. See you.